All right. I get a lot of messages asking me how to make templates, Valkyrie templates in particular. Um, looking for advice, looking for tips on itemization, how to approach it. Maybe the person sends me a template that they've made, and I find myself giving a lot of the same feedback. It's very consistently people have the same kinds of questions. So I just wanted to put together a short video, or it might be medium to long video, running through how to approach putting together a template um, for Valkyrie in particular, but likely this will apply for any class. Just kind of using the tools available to create something that works for you. Um, to begin with, I think it's always worthwhile to go to a class channel and check out the pins and see what kind of templates are up there. The mods do a good job of kind of keeping the best templates pinned to the channel. The players do. There's a lot of players that contribute their time and share what they've made, and you can look at these and you can try to find items that they have in common. So, like if you open a lot of these Valkyrie templates, you'll see that they're using the Astral Hauberk of the Favored for the chest piece. They're using the Astral Leggings of Fortification for the legs. If it's a solo template, you'll see oftentimes that they have one of the Heal Over Time cloaks equipped. Um, Soulbinder spells is a popular item because it's got high utility. So always worthwhile to check out the pins first. Maybe you just copy a template wholesale. They're all decent, good enough, and they should mostly be, if not all, be just currency items. So anyone can make them. There's no special items required. You just need to do your raids and acquire your currency. Um, Failing that, if you do want to try to make your own template, I will try to walk you through how to approach it. So assuming we've gone through here, maybe we've asked some questions in the class channels and kind of figured out what items, or maybe the must includes. I think this question you see all the time. It's like, what items should I include for the template? Like, what are the must-have items? Um, in the case of the Valkyrie, I think it's that astral chest. I think it's those astral legs. Um, I think you can include a shield in most cases because of some of the changes to itemization. Um, so, in order to find those items, Eden has a item database. It's definitely worth checking out. If you're on the home page, you just go to items here. If you're on one of the other pages, it's in the quick links section. And this has every item you could possibly want in your template. Um, so over here, we've got a filter and we've got some sorting tools. If you were to look for a specific proc or something, you'd choose the proc, you'd choose a type of proc, and you click this little plus to get it as a search parameter. We're not interested in that for this portion. Right now, we're just going to go through. We're going to find the basic items to fit into this template. And for what it's worth, this template probably isn't going to work out. When you're building templates, it takes a lot of time and it can take a lot of attempts. Sometimes you'll get lucky and you'll hit it. You'll hit it on the first time, but oftentimes it's going to be putting items in, deleting the whole thing, restarting. And that's kind of part of why I think it's important to have these set items that you always want to use. You get those as your core, and then you can kind of fill everything else out from there. And this template that I'm going to make is almost certainly going to be a bomb. It's not going to work at all. Maybe I'll get really lucky, but I'm going to try to show how to implement ROGs as well for this, just to show people how you search for them and how you try to include them. So let's grab our first item. We searched for a chest piece. We'll do Valkyrie as a parameter. And you can see Astral Hauberk right here at the top. It's descending order of utility. So 202 by far the highest. This is a great item. Some of these other ones are sort of usable, but there's this one just provides so much more than everything else, and it's perfect for the class. The Omni heal is awesome when you're a class that wants to use a lot of power. Your power is your health pool in a lot of cases, or your groupmate's health pool. So we'll throw that in. So you click the little Zencraft button, go to torso, import. All right, we got our first item in. in the template, which, let's see, it appears that it's showing something else. So let's undo that. So I've got it in my vault. Any item you grab from the website, you can click vault item once you import it. So you go to import, copy the text from the website after clicking that little button. It'll automatically place it, and you can then click down here to put it in your vault. And then when you go to redo your template, because you almost certainly will need to, you can just grab it from the vault. You don't need to mess around with going back to the website, importing it again, and doing the whole process over again. So we got that chest piece. Now let's grab the legs. This is another key item for the Valkyrie. Super important. Really strong procs, really good utility, really good 2A bonuses. It's got 10% healing effectiveness. It's essentially tailor-made for the class. So you don't get a lot as a Valkyrie in terms of items, but you do get this. So import that. I also had that in my vault, and it looks like something's glitching out. I had done something on this template earlier, so that shouldn't happen to you. But I'm just going to import it from my vault because it's still glitching out. It thinks I have a helmet. Okay, and a shield. All right. Now we should be just showing the items. Oh, and a cloak. Let's see. Now we should just be showing the items I've actually imported. So we got our 2 items here. Now I'm a firm believer in getting this template will be, say, for a solo or a small group player. So we want to grab the Heal Over Time cloak. And there's 2 versions, but I think one's a little better than the other in terms of the cooldown on the Heal Over Time. And the Valkyrie likes most of the stats here. You know, as you put the templates together, you'll see that acuity is it's not as desirable. Like, it doesn't hurt, obviously, it's nice to have, but it does take away utility from other more important stats. But it's no big deal. We'll copy this over. We'll paste it in. So we'll do the import. We'll paste. All right, we got the cloak in. So this is the Heal Over Time cloak. We'll add it to our vault. So in case we come back and we have to redo this, we don't have to pull it from the website again. And now, when it comes to armor, generally speaking, you're going to be using one of 2 options. You're either going to be using a sleeve item that's been dropped, like a currency item that gives TOA stats, or you'll be using a helmet, one of the DF quest helmets. Before we do that, I'm going to put the shield in. A lot of the times you might want to kind of coordinate your 2-handed stats with your sword and board stats here, but in this case, especially with the changes in the Season 3 beta, where Valkyries are far less incentivized to swap to the 2-hander, I am going to just use the shield in the template, and it'll make finishing the template off a lot easier. So let's go to shield. There's 3 good choices that people will choose from. All of these are good. This is a medium shield that gives spell damage. Personally, I prefer the fastest shield possible to try to squeeze out, if you're dehasted, whatever it may be, this gives you the best chance to squeeze out the most styles during your slam windows. But, the stats aren't as favorable. If we look back here, we're going to have capping spell damage from the medium shield would be great, right? We'd be just totally done with it. But I'm going to try using this small shield that gives melee speed, melee damage, and we'll see if we can make it work. The problem with that sometimes is that the arms and helmet you might want to use also often give melee damage or melee speed. But we'll see what happens if we put this in. And again, this is going to be a lot of trial and error. So the finished template at the end of this video is probably going to be garbage. The point is just to show how to put it together. All right, so we got our shield, got our torso, we got our cloak, we got our legs. These are probably our 4 most important items. Now, you do want to leave at least 2 slots generally open for spellcrafting in terms of your armor, so you can fix kind of the stat issues you have. I am going to try to put dropped arms in. I think I'm going to try to put the power regen arms in. I don't always advise these, and if you're making your own template, especially as a new player, they cost 20 plat, and that's the only way to get them, unless you find a player that's nice enough to let you buy them for cheaper. So we go chain, we go arms, and we look for the... where are they? Infernal sleeves. The reason I want to use these is because they give healing effectiveness and spell damage. I don't like a lot of their stats, but if we go with like the mail sleeves, we're adding melee speed 3%. We'd be overcapping. And again, maybe that's something we do once we're finished. But for now, infernal sleeves. We're gonna just try them out. Get the extra 10 power regen. It's not that great, but it can help. And the healing effectiveness is certainly nice. And even the cast speed does have some benefits. And that spell damage fits nicely, because then we'll be at 8 spell damage. So we'll import that. Add it in. I don't have it vaulted, so let's add it to the vault. And now we have these 3 spots left for armor. Right now I'm just going to leave those empty. I think I probably want them all to be crafted. And what I might try to do is I'm just probably going to show for either armor or jewelry how to search the Market Explorer via the Eden item database and find an item to put in there. But in the meantime, let's get the jewelry started. So what I like to do is for the neck and for the waist, I like to try to fit in the highest utility possible. So for the waist, let's just start with the waist. Let's go Valkyrie, and let's go belt. We have a lot of options here. You can see descending utility. I usually like to use these fiend belts. This appears to have critical strike and parry. I'm not sure that that's any good. So let's put in, let's see, spell damage. What's our spell damage at? We could use the 2% spell damage. Let's see. Soulbinder spell is always a great choice to cover some resists. Searing Fiend Belt gives style damage, which is nice. Let's try... we don't want the acuity, though. The acuity is it's a lot of dead stats for us, and the power pool is alright, but and the casting speed is not that great either, so we don't want that. That seems to be more of a caster belt. So let's try this one. Let's try this Searing Fiend Belt, and maybe it doesn't work. Maybe we end up wanting to go with Soulbinders. So we copy it, import it. Let's throw it in the vault so we have it. Now we see we're 2% short on melee speed, we're 2% short on spell damage, and we are 6% short on style damage, which is quite a bit. And the reality with these hybrid templates is you're not going to be able to cap everything. You can try your best, but you're not going to be able to cap everything. I personally prioritize healing for the Valkyrie, and then I would prioritize probably melee speed, melee damage, resist pierce if you can, but I think you're getting into risky territory there just with the itemization. Maybe we'll try to do resist pierce in this template. First, I'm going to try to get the healing up. So we're 15 out of 25. We know that we need probably 2 items to give 5%. So let's take a look at what we can do. Let's check bracers, and this is where we can use our little filter. TOA bonus. Pretty much all your AF, your healing, your melee damage is just going to be under TOA bonuses. So healing effectiveness, and then we press the plus to add it to the search. And then we see 91 utility, Bracer of Bedlam, seems like it could be a pretty good fit for us. I think it's offering us all the stuff we might want. So let's copy it. Let's throw it in the template. Import, paste, add it to the vault, so we don't have to worry about it later. So see, we're getting pretty close to our constitution cap. I mean, it's always great to get 101 of everything, but the reality is that's just probably not going to happen. You're most likely going to be going for 80 to 85 constitution. So I don't know if we want to use another one of those. But we do want to cap our healing. So we're probably already running into our first obstacle here. Let's open this up. Let's see what we can find. Maybe we can find a ring that has healing. Let's try. See what comes up. And we can see right off the bat, pretty low utility on these. You know, maybe they work in a pinch, but we probably don't want something this low. So let's look at the jewel slot. Anything good here? Again, pretty low utility. 83 is generally usable, but we can see immediately buff effectiveness, magic, all skills, it's bad. So we can't get our healing from there. Let's see. I'm going to pull up another tab over here and show you the spellcrafting armor bonuses page. This is another useful tool when you're putting together your template to reference. Where can we, as mid-chain users, so you can see the link here, find an extra 5% healing? Looks like the arms give it, and it looks like the hands give it. So I think just based on a cursory glance, we're probably going to want to try to get that healing from our hands. So let's figure to use the hand slot, and I think they've changed this around. I think you can add your spellcrafted armor bonuses right here in this bonuses slot. There might be another way to do it, but I'm going to put it right here for now. We're going to say, I think it's just bonus. Yes. Bonus, healing, 5. So we got that. That shows up now, and we just know these will be crafted gloves, and we'll make the 5% healing ones, which are called Dragonsworn Scribes, whatever. So Dragonsworn Scribed is what we want for our gloves. And we'll keep this open and reference it for our other pieces. Alright, opening the template again. So we know these are going to be crafted. We probably want to get a necklace in. And now I'm going to try to put a resist pierce item in. And it's very hard to find resist pierce items, but it can really help your damage, especially on a character like the Valkyrie that wants to do that magic damage. So we're going to go here. We're going to do any. We're going to clear this. We're going to do TOA bonus, and we're going to do resist pierce. And we're just going to see what comes up. It's not going to be a lot, but there will be some stuff. Alright, so we take a look at this. There's a bracer that gives 2%. That's not great. 90 utility, a bunch of casting stats. We don't want that. Got the cloak. We can't use the bow. We can't use the cap. Really, our only choice. This weapon we don't really want to mess with. Really, our only choice is Dragon's Eye Strand. Galp's Claw can be useful. It has Arcane Siphon, which is nice, but generally you're going to want to be using FSLS, a 3.1 speed ROG item, or a legendary. So let's do the Dragon's Eye Strand. Let's just try it. I don't think it's going to work. You're losing a lot here. All magic. I guess it's not terrible overall. It's just the all magic skills is kind of a bust for you, but technically it increases your damage a little bit. So let's grab that. Let's import that, and we'll vault it. And let's see how we're looking here. So we got our resist pierce capped. Style damage is still pretty low, and the style damage, it seems to me that it's close to as valuable as melee damage based on how it's calculated in the formula. So we do want to try to get it, but at this point it might just be really difficult. And as you make these templates and you get more comfortable, you'll kind of come to see what you can fit and what you can't fit. And you'll know, someone who's made a bunch of Valk templates this season, they might see what I'm doing here and immediately be like, well, you can't include, these two items at the same time, or you really don't want to go with the Searing Fiend belt because ultimately you'll find that you're running into, since you're using so many of the same items, you'll run into the same pitfalls. But we're not going to worry about that here. We're just going to try to get something put together quickly that's probably not going to work, just to show how you put one together. So what else do we have to worry about here? Let's look for style damage. Maybe we can find an item that gives us a little bit of style damage and some really good utility. So we'll close this out. TOA bonus. We'll go for style damage. Open that up. Let's try. We've got pretty much every slot free. Let's just see what kind of bracers we can get. Dragon Scale Bracelet. Always a nice item for melees, and it looks like it might fit really well in our template. So let's throw this in there. Let's put it in here. Dragon Scale Bracelet. We can see, ooh, we're overcapping con. I guess we already had that overcapped. Not the best. Neck, cloak. So the wrist and the neck, I would say, are conflicting a little bit since we know we have to use the legs, the torso, and the cloak. So something to keep an eye on. And again, when we rework this, as we would, we might want to remove one of those or look for an ROG that maybe fills this wrist slot. But we're just going to forge ahead. Let's see if we got any rings that give style damage. Put something in the ring slot. Let's see what comes up. These are pretty good rings. Both of these are very high utility. It might just be this. You'll see a lot of these have like very similar stats, if not the exact same. So we will add this one. Ablative AF. Tentacle ring gives the melee resist buff, might be more useful across the board. Melee all skills. We still got room for some melee all skills, so that's nice. Let's try adding this one in to our template here. Import. Let's vault this. Let's make sure we vault this. All right. Now things are starting to come together a little bit. We still got this overcapped con, but we're getting closer to where we want to be. We want to cap shield. We want to cap parry if we can. And it looks like it's going to be really tough to do. So let's see if we can find maybe a ring or a jewel, an ROG that'll give us something to cap those two stats. So let's open this up. So we got this database tab. This shows all the possible items in the game. The marketplace tab shows you what's for sale on the marketplace. So let's try. We're trying to get a ring, right? So let's go for, what do we got? Stats, resist, melee skills. Let's just try parry. Let's see what comes up. And it'll be organized in utility, descending utility, just like the other page. So we can quickly look through. 12 dex cap, 4 parry, 10 thrust resist, 13 matter resist. So let's look. We can fit all that in. We don't want the dex cap. And if you take this, you can look at where you're getting your stat caps from. So we're disgustingly overcapped on dex. And this is something that looks like it's almost unavoidable. Maybe we'd want to change out this shield to be the medium shield, but again, that would be for the second run through. We're just trying to get our items filled out and see kind of what we end up with here. So we don't really want that. We don't want that dex cap. Let's see. Quick cap is good, but we're getting, once you get below the 90 utility line, these 80 ones have to be basically perfect statistically to use. So you might not want to use one of these. How about this one? 15 con, 104 health. Could be nice. Oftentimes you'll find your health is a little low. I don't have any objections to that one. Where'd it go? Here we go. 89 utility. We're not losing anything. Energy, con, health. So let's try energy, con. We don't want the con. So that's no good. And you'll find as you go through these items, sometimes it's just not meant to be with whatever you're trying to do. And you can see like you can definitely find some good heal effectiveness items. So if you want to go a path where you're not getting your heal effectiveness from your crafted or your currency items, this is a great way to get it. Is putting in an ROG. They're a little expensive, but they can make a big difference in your template. So slash heat cold parry. This isn't a bad ring either. 14 cold, 13 slash 8 heat. Let's look. 14 cold. Would be a little over on the cold. But let's just throw it in. Otherwise, we're going to be sitting here having and hawing forever, and that's not really the point of this video. We're not trying to make the perfect template. We're just trying to make a template. Import. Okay, so we capped our slash perfectly. Our cold's a little over capped, but otherwise we're getting some nice stats from this. 3 parry, decent resists. We'll try that. And I like to just throw it in the vault. You can just remove it afterwards, but you just get it in there. You know it's okay. Maybe you want to use it. It's not too expensive. Try it in the future. So as someone who's made a lot of templates, I look at kind of where we are right now, and it's not looking great for us. Our resists are super low. It's really hard to overcome this with the few item slots we have left, but we're going to try. We'll see what we can do. Jewelry. Let's see if we can find a gem that gives some good resists. So let's clear this out. Try to find a jewel. Go to the market. Of course, it's all these drop jewels. Click through. We might need to add a stat. Let's see. Here we go. Now we're at the 100 utility. ROGs. Acuity. Debuff effectiveness. None of these are great. Body resist. Cap bonus. We don't really want con cap, I don't think. Might actually be okay to try to get con cap. What resist is that giving us? Where'd it go? Body, strength, dex, power pool, con cap. What's our body at? 4. Okay, let's try plugging that in. And again, we're just trying things out. We're not going to settle on the perfect template here. But look, we've got our strength at a decent spot. I'd prefer to have this capped. Our hits, we've at least got up to 400 available. It's kind of a disaster, but we'll just see what we can do with the spellcrafting. And now there is a way to do this the most efficiently, and I'm not sure exactly what the stat distribution is, but you generally don't want to be using big chunks of stats. So like if I were to go to dexterity, let's change this to crafted, stat, dexterity. I don't necessarily want to be using 25 dexterity as a gem. I think that's not efficient, but I'm not really sure. So if you're really narrowing it down, maybe take a look at how much your utility you're getting for the imbue point cost. On Eden, everything can be 37.5, so just always try to get as close to 37.5 as possible. Our quickness is super low, so let's get some quickness on this. Get another big chunk, which again, maybe not the best practice, but just gonna finish this out. This template's obviously failed. I would probably just restart it if I were making it for myself, but since it's for the video, we'll just finish it out. Our stats. Now we'll go resist. Get that crush resist filled out. Let's see how close we can get it. 37. So let's increase the hits. Can we get another set? No. So we're only at 37. So you'd have to mess around with this a little bit to get it working perfectly. But let's go to the next piece. And let's also take a look at our helmet slot here, since we know you're using crafted. Crafted head, 5 quick cap, 5 con cap, 15 quick, 15 con. So I think we like 15 quick, 15 con. Con cap, I think we like the 15 quick. So let's just throw that in our bonuses. And I think you can also put it here. So you could go stat cap. No, it wouldn't be stat cap. It would be stat quickness 15. Okay, so that just means you have to use this, let's see, 15 quick, this Dragonstone Scribed helmet. Alright, let's go to the hands. Let's actually clear this. Empty. Let's see. Go to this. Let's go to spellcraft. Alright. Resist. We'll try to get our crush resist capped here. Let's leave it at 7. Let's try to get some more quickness. How much do we need? 25 to cap? Okay. Resist. Let's try to get our thrust up. Now, you'll notice that I'm leaving the weapon spot blank currently. It's much easier to make a template if you just put in FSLS. We could have saved a lot of time on all this nonsense, but you don't want to just be using FSLS. It's, as the Valkyrie, to be the most effective, you want to be switching your weapon. So I would try to avoid putting a weapon in, committing to a certain weapon. You want to have a 3.1 speed ROG, so on your initial slam you can swing at cap, assuming do the math. I don't know how much quickness you need as a Norse or as a Frostolf or whatever. But you wanna have a weapon where you can slam without worrying about having celerity up and swing a cap to get the most hits in with your proc. You want to use FSLS and you want to use the legendary. Unfortunately, those are not going to share many stats in common. Usually what people end up doing is they'll say, okay, I can get 15 strength. I think FSLS has some small amount of strength on it. So let's look real quick for this sword. Fine steel. Okay, let's just type it in. Oh, and I'm also on the market. There we go. Alright, has 15 strength. So a lot of people, you can usually roll your ROG to get 15 strength, and you can put up to 3 stats on a legendary item. So a lot of people will take this and they'll just go stat, strength, let's make it a ROG, stat, strength, 15. So at least you have that filled in. And then we could go back and say, okay, we can use our 15 strength. It looks like that's lost. So another thing we'd probably want to fix on the second, maybe that jewel, we can't use that jewel, or we figure something else out. But I'm just, like I said, I'm just going to finish this out with a resist. Let's actually do hits for now. You can see how, and you get to this point, especially with a weaponless template, it's very difficult to make a template weaponless. If you're a new player, just put FSLS in there to start. You'll be fine. It's not the best, but it'll work. 20, again, we want to try to get that extra 0.5, but for now, we're not going to worry about it. And then we look at feet. So what feet would we want to use? 10 AF, 15 acuity. Ooh, the feet are pretty bad. 10 AF, let's see what our F is at. 10 AF is perfect, though. That'll put us right at 50. Another really important stat for the Valkyrie. Let's see, bonus. Armor factor, 10 AF. Alright, quickly finish this out. I think you're getting the point. We still don't have our shield cap, we still don't have our parry capped. We're low on hits. Our resists are in the gutter, so this is a scrap template. But let's just, for the sake of it, try to finish this out, get our hits as high as we can, get our resists up. And you can just see how doomed it is. But this is what happens when you're trying to make a template. If you Again, including the weapon helps a lot and can change how you're approaching it. But the point of this is not to show someone how to make the perfect template on the first try. It's to show the process. Um, and hopefully it did that. So right now, this doesn't work. We might have learned a little bit. We've got some ideas. Maybe we've found some ROGs that we like, or maybe we don't like. In the case of this Bodybender Supreme Gem, I don't think this is very usable for us. Um, we have a feel now for what spellcraft bonuses we can use. I never put this one here. Doesn't matter. And you kind of get, as you iterate these templates, you get a feel for what you're looking for, what you need, and you might even get to the point where you know exactly what stats you want on an ROG. You know exactly what stats you're going to try to look for to put on your weapon, and maybe you kind of learn what you're willing to sacrifice. You know, 101 dex, not that important. Maybe you try to just get 75 dex, and obviously with this, you're getting force fed some from the cloak. You're getting force fed some of the stat cap from, let's see, the chest and the arms, or the chest and the legs. So and your shield. So you're already capped just from those. So maybe you just figure, okay, I'll try to get 101 dex, but you don't have to meet the stat cap. Those can be lost. That can be lost utility depending on what you're trying to do with the template. Um, so hopefully this is helpful. Hopefully this gives people an idea how to walk through templates on their own, how to do this stuff using the tools available. Good luck out there.